Welcome back, everyone, to the Away Day Show. Match week 6 down, dusted. We just sang with a bit of a... There was big game, but there was another week in the Premier League that it felt like a few surprise results and a few we just sort of expected, right? Thanks for all those who joined last night on the watch along. It was a good little watch along there. Great game as well. We're getting lucky with good games, so we need to keep Arsenal watch along space is what I'm trying to get at here. We'll start with what we learned. I just want to start by saying the refs this weekend. I'm not 100% sure with the whole handball thing. It's like Ange even came out and said it yesterday.
Ooh.
No, not in terms of the Tottenham game, just in general.
Yeah,
I was talking a bit about it yesterday. The Luton Wolves game, Gomez deflects off his foot and his hand's just, because he's defending, he just flicks off his foot to his hand. That gives a penalty, which is, for me, I don't know why that's a penalty.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
And they got yesterday. I'm playing devil's advocate. I can get where Ange is coming from because it's this far away. But it seems like right now, if your hand's anywhere from your body and it hits your hand, it's just handball. Which, is that where we want to be going with handballs? That's the only thing I really want to discuss. Is that really where I want to be going with handballs?
I still think there's like... I know what you're saying in terms of, it feels like if a ball hits hand in the box, it's a pen.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm saying somewhere like they're being harsh, but they're still sort of being a little bit realistic in terms of as if it's right next to you,
obviously,
if your hand is on your body, you're fine. So that's
makes
one.
because you're not back at bigger, right?
Yeah, it's all about the realistic position thing. But it's like, I also think the one problem as to why it seems so unclear is that it depends where it is in the box, and that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but with that Romero one, right?
Yeah,
that's like, if that was on the edge of the box, as in still in the box but on the edge, I think it'd be a major different story. The fact that it was stopping a shot.
Well, it was going to go in. The ball was
I mean, I don't even know if it was going to go in. I think it was going to be close.
It was going to go in, I think.
But regardless, because it's right there, edge of the box, keeper's nowhere to be seen. It's like, you
have to sort of give it.
You've stopped it with an unnatural part. You've stopped it with a part you're not allowed to stop it with. That has to be a pen. Whereas if that was on the edge, if that was top right corner of the box, I feel like that could be a very different story. And that's why I feel like it's a little bit inconsistent, because it feels so dependent upon the situation.
But I feel like before you jump into it, I feel like I'm fine with it being, if it just touches the hand, if it's going to be that. But we've seen earlier this year with what you said, right? It was near the edge of the area where Romero blocked it. Was it Romero again, wasn't it? He blocked it with his arm. Again, unnatural, but not really expected.
Romero had a big game.
And even the own goal as well, yeah. But I just think if you're paying that one that deflects off a guy's foot and has no idea it's going to hit his arm, I know it's not the big marketed game, but Luton versus Wolves, that's big for Wolves. The Wolves get 3 point with 10 men. That changes their outlook on things. If that's going to be handball, then why wasn't the United Tottenham handball? That explains if the Romero handball one.
At, though.
It's just where we at.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I
say this every week.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with what Ange just said, because he's actually right. You look at the United Tottenham game. Obviously, he was on the other side of it, so he's probably happy about that incident. But even last night, it was definitely a pen, but it wasn't as blatant and as obvious, I think, as everyone says, because if you actually look at it close, his hand's there, not there. And
I think it was pretty
the
blatant.
Shot, between the shot and his arm, is half a metre.
No, that's what I was getting at, though, is that because he's right in front of goal, is that I feel like that's where the inconsistency lies, is that,
just taken out of
if that was going to go Rose and, it was top right corner of the box, and he was just trying to win a corner, for example, if that hit Romero's arm, it'd probably come, it'd be given no pen in time, and then it go to VAR. It's got a side commission. Jesus Christ.
You stick a handball with a copper one out of it.
That one didn't go out.
But I feel like had that been anywhere else except right in front of the goal, they'd look at that, and they'd factor in the distance. They'd be like, okay, no time to react. That's a ticket, for an overturn. You know what I mean? It's all those features which often play into the decision.
Would
have been normal. Whereas because of the scenario being right in front of the goal, it's it was almost as simple as, okay, ball's going in, he stopped it with his hand, it's a pen. You know what I mean?
It felt a bit like that, right?
felt a bit that way, at least, because it felt to me like it was dead certain.
Well, for me, I obviously Jared was for pen there, but you and me as being the middle grounds. And you thought not pen, I thought pen straight away.
No, I thought it should be a pen. I just didn't think they were going to give it. I just didn't think they were going to give it.
Okay. Is that, and that's
So that's what I did say. I always said it was a pen.
And is that based upon the way they usually officiate those things with the distance thing? And I agree. And I definitely agree with that. It's just
it'd be interesting to see if they come out and say that, because obviously when we're recording this, it's not Monday. It hasn't really been Monday yet for the UK. So it'd be interesting what they say about it all, because with those two big incidents from the weekend, it's two things that are pointing in one direction, but our past from last year, the big thing last year was distance, right? That was the big thing for Premier last year, distance for handballs. And it seems now it's sort of being moved about, because we look, even the War Prowse one against Luton as well. Yeah. Where that was, obviously, the distance was massive, but it was because the ball had dropped past, like, all this rubbish. So maybe the distance thing is totally just out of it, and if it's hits a hand, it's a hand. Like, I'll be interested if they say anything about it.
When you look at the Champions League, for example, those rules obviously are a bit different, because if you look at the handball on Ericsson, that wouldn't have been given in the Prem.
From the sounds of it,
Well,
the
on what they've done, that was, I don't know if you saw it.
I can't recall it.
So, I can't remember who was at the back post, but it was a back post header, a cross goal going nowhere. Ericsson's hand's like there in front of his face, and you're like headering it there.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what it got given.
Okay.
That wouldn't get given in the Prem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
it's sort of in his body.
You just never know.
Yeah, it's just up at the flip.
It feels like it just changes weekly, and and that's the problem. Is that I think where Ange is coming from, which you alluded to, was that it's more so about the inconsistency surrounding it, rather than like the decision itself. Because as long because you were saying before how like Ange was happy when it was at United, because no pen, right? Whereas it's a little bit of like going through the motions, like, domino effect, where it's going to happen to everyone at the moment.
As you said, he mentioned it in the press conference, it's going to level out, but he said, I don't want it to be, it just levels out. He said, I want to just get it right.
Yeah, exactly. So at the moment, it is sort of like, the inconsistency is leveling out. But had it been maybe the right decision gets paid, Ange might have had two against him, right? And that's what he's sort of, like, sort of despite being on the right end of one of them. Yeah. That's what he would be alluding to.
Anything else we sort of picked up from the weekend before we jump into the games?
Well, something I've learned from the weekend is I think Ange can really like cement that spot in the top four if he's continuing how he's going. Yeah. Obviously, again, we've spoken so much so far about like the early stage of the Premier League and Tottenham only playing 6 games and all that type of stuff. But like our biggest fear, I would say, would have been like the lack of like big teams Tottenham had played. And like
we said this last week.
Yeah, we said this last week. And now like saying it, they've beat United, and I know United's playing like absolute crap, but they've gone to the Emirates, and we were talking.
This was the test we said they needed,
and we were talking. I would have really been seriously with me. I would have said it was progress for Tottenham if they went away with this like a 2-1. Like Arsenal had a little bit more of the ball, but they took it to Arsenal.
Victory, like,
they took it to Arsenal.
Like they weren't completely slapped.
They were the better team.
Yeah, I think
how much better team? That's arguable, but.
I thought a draw was a very reflective, result.
I think what we said last night was, for me, Arsenal bossed it for 25 minutes. I think Tottenham were just getting their feet wet almost. Yep. And then once the game started to become a bit more of what we expected, was a bit of a ping pong where we're just going one end. It felt like Tottenham were better on the ball progressively, right? Like Arsenal were good in possession sideways a bit, but with proper possession, intense possession, trying to do something with the ball. Like it's a really niche thing to say, but it sort of felt like Tottenham were better trying to make things. Like the Maddison dropping it deep, the Basuma almost playing. It was almost a double pivot when they received the ball, right? It was Maddison and Basuma picking the ball up, and Sarr was like a floating 8, when they got the ball back, right?
I'm not sure about like if it was tactical or not, but something I noticed from the game is when Arsenal won the ball back, Tottenham was so quick to get in behind and make you guys like have to like break them down. So like you were moving, like there was periods in the game where you were just moving the ball side to side, side to ball. Even when you'd win it on like a counter, they were back quicker than you could attack. Whereas when Tottenham were winning the ball, you look at that Sun goal. I know they were so far out of possession, but Tottenham winning the ball, I don't know if it's the way Tottenham were playing and you guys were playing a little bit more like slow build-up play, but they were like still playing like...
We'll just be rattled, I reckon.
Yeah, they were playing quick, like bang, bang, bang. You only had 3 defenders back.
I'd say before you say something, I think their press, their style was, we'll sit in, but like be deeper. But then when we want to go, like that Son second goal, we'll go quick all of a sudden. So just caught Arsenal off guard.
Whereas I think you guys just pressed the whole time, which is what
Arsenal do all the time.
So like, once you broke that press, then whereas Tottenham looked like they didn't press. I was actually a bit like...
You didn't like it at the
Yeah, I didn't
first,
like it
yeah,
at the start of the game because they were sitting off. But then they would press and it wasn't really working. But once it worked, because what they were doing is they'll sit off. And then all of a sudden, there's like 11 players just start sprinting. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What's even going on here?
It sparked
made no
Arsenal
sense.
into
They
confusion. It was a
They
confusion
wouldn't actually
tactic
press Raya, but then once Saliba would get the
First
ball,
pass out,
first pass. Whereas you press straight from Vicario.
Yeah. Which makes sense though, right?
Both
'Cause-
keepers are very good in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll touch on the small.
in the game, but But I think what you to summarize, I guess your point is that Ange system will work again against the top 4 teams. Because again, that was one of my questions going into the weekend. Will they just like ship goals and score goals, or will it be just they'll revert back to just defensive? But it was like we're just gonna keep playing, but we're not gonna be shipping like 2 goals in a game like that. I don't think that's drastic at all. I think that was Arsenal's quality and a bit of unluck in a few things, right?
Well, you look at it. There's only probably 2 games that you can argue that are harder fixtures than going to the Emirates right now versus Arsenal. And you could
Anfield
and
Etihad.
Etihad. That's it. And in my opinion, going to the Emirates is harder than going to Anfield right now.
Yeah, well, over the last 18 months, you would have said that. Maybe not over the last 6
I
weeks.
feel like
but over
going
the
to
last
the Etihad
18
would be
months.
easier than going to those 2 places. I think going to Emirates is harder than going to the Etihad.
I think you could probably
but
group.
it's still
I think
City,
you could probably group the 3 in at the moment based on
A
this.
tier,
Yeah.
like,
you
So
could
we're
probably-
talking there's only 2 games that are going to be harder, and they've took it to one of those.
But we
so it's
mentioned
pretty
the
impressive.
Spursy thing. We still they got over it last week, but what if they go to I don't know some other they go to a Burnley
But as
tournament?
long
Like,
as they don't do it
I
often.
mean,
It's always
that's
a
obviously
chance.
a hypothetical,
Yeah.
but as in, I think that's kind of that obviously could happen. But I think off of what we're seeing at the moment, that's
oh yeah,
you got to base off the fact that we feel like they overcame that Spursy nature by getting over Sheffield 2 weeks ago, and obviously we've seen how bad Sheffield are. So maybe that's this weekend obviously saw that, but as in. They still had to go. They were still 1-0 down, 100 minutes in. They had to turn it around to win 2-1. So, look, credit to Spurs. They I thought the direction of the game was either going to be that we slapped them up and they hadn't had a proper test yet, or it was going to be, or I thought if Spurs are the real deal here, it was going to be potential to end to the last minute, which it ended up being,
which it was really,
wasn't even split in the end. But credit to Spurs. I thought we were off it, to be honest. I think the Rice coming off
You say that,
what.
but
those two
before
those two
Rice went
midfielders-
off, Spurs had a lot of the ball.
But I
as
thought
well.
I
Rice is
agree with
big for
that.
their system,
But
though.
it's in I think more so is in I don't think they score that second goal. They obviously don't score that second goal if Jorginho's not on the park, right?
Yeah. Fair.
So my point though is that it wasn't like Rice came off and the game completely changed, right? Because as you said, you got Spurs came into it. And I say you guys like Ange, because it felt like Arsenal versus the world.
Well,
right?
we did, especially because we're in Australia, it just felt like that.
It felt like that. But for the first 30 minutes, I feel like we could have been 2 or 3-0 up. Jesus slapped it over the bar. Bukayo made a few great saves. And Bukayo scored, right? So, look, I think for the majority of the first half, we were the better team, right? And then Spurs sort of kind of found their way a little bit and were better in the sort of latter part of that period. But over the course of 90 minutes, that's going to happen. I would have more faith in a team with Declan Rice in it than Jorginho to be able to get some of that midfield presence back.
Yeah.
And I feel like
It's more representation, right?
Havertz being in there and Jorginho being in there at the end of the second half, it was just kind of we just had we were getting bullied in the midfield, man. Madison was running the mark and...
But I don't want to bully Havertz, but
he was bad again, bro.
He just
was bad.
takes away from Erdegaard because that's what I sort of felt.
Odegaard couldn't touch the ball.
Watching it back, he didn't really have any presence at all in the second half.
Yeah, he did nothing.
They
in the
bypassed
second
him.
half.
The midfield was in bypass. I think I mentioned at some point that they felt like the Arsenal midfield, they weren't doing bad, they weren't doing well.
You did mention, I remember with
But
Zinchenko.
I said Zinchenko's their midfield and they're just bypassing the 3 in there. They're playing to wingers first.
And to be fair to that system, it has worked in the past where because of Odegaard's, when he's on the ball, how dangerous he can be, he draws so much attention, right? And it's and so for example, in that case, because it's either usually it's Saka who draws that left deep midfielder and the left back, right? On the weekend, it was Odegaard who drew the midfielders, right? So he would you can look at it Saka scored 2 goals. I know one of them was a pen, but that first goal was definitely correlated to the fact he had so much space
to get into the spot.
To be fair to Bukayo, in that scenario, once he he did a great job getting that space. But you back him 9 times out of 10 to get a result there. When you have that much space,
Left foot,
left foot on the ball, like you're gonna score, right?
Yeah.
So had that midfield presence maybe been slightly more concentrated onto Bukayo, you think, okay, maybe he can't cut inside there and have 3 meters space. So in the past, I would have said, okay, but like sometimes Bukayo's going to draw that attention and he won't get it. He won't get the output. On the weekend, it was Odegaard. But the problem was that we're creating nothing else for the midfield. Is that he was drawing that attention and couldn't be sighted, but Havertz was doing nothing. Jorginho was just kind of passing left and right.
Side sort of.
He's putting a few long balls over the top, but they weren't really finding a lot because Jesus just doesn't have that pace. And I thought it was interesting we played Jesus off the left.
I was about to say, I want to touch
with
that
Eddie through the middle. And then Eddie being on the park for 100 minutes. It's just like... He has a knack of finding goals, and I know. Look, we're sort of talking about the game. We won't really come back to it later. But I don't know. I just thought Smith Rowe getting 4 minutes at the end like that. That sort of just pissed me off a little bit. Like
Jay was sitting in, he was like, I wanted Nelson.
Waz loves
ESR. Like one of them. You just felt like one of them had to come on. Because Eddie, obviously a great servant. The club does what he has to do.
Yeah, Eddie tries. He presses.
He's just not the A1 that you need for an A1 game.
Yeah, he's not going to create a goal out of nothing.
No. Obviously against a smaller team to come off the bench and make an impact, by all means, that's the guy to go. But in a game like this, you need a system, you need the players in roles. Why are you wasting Gabby out on the left where he plays so well down the middle? He sets
even when he
links
did
it
start
all
on the
up.
left, because obviously he started on the left because he didn't want to start Smith Rowe or Nelson. So he starts on the left. But when Gabby came off, why wasn't that Nketiah coming off? Why wasn't Gabby moving in?
Well, that's what I was saying. I don't know how Eddie's getting 100 minutes and Gabby's getting dragged up to 70, or whenever Reece came on.
Might have been earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. Reece came on
Why wouldn't you start Reece Nelson and?
I just think that
because Smith Rowe thing, obviously something's going on there, so I understand that. But why not just start Nelson and get him for 60, then put Nketiah on? Why don't you go that way around?
Was Trossard on the bench?
No, he's injured.
Yeah, he's
injured.
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's a big. I think that's a big loss from coming into the game because
I think Gabby will be back next week. It doesn't sound like he's out.
Wasn't that bad, the injury?
No, it doesn't sound like he's out for that long. But
it was saying like Arsenal had like a disastrous performance. It's a point. I know. Yeah. You were saying it's probably
in a North London derby as well.
Exactly. And against a momentum-filled Tottenham.
We said this last week. In the past, everything can go out the window in any big derby, right? So, look, it's one of those where we were definitely not the better team. Whereas throughout the season, I would have said, okay, from every game we have, in the game we dropped points before, it's like we've been the better team, I would say. So, look, that's going to happen as long as it doesn't, dwell and we can move because we've got that City game, right?
2 weeks now.
And we'll talk about, maybe we can talk about that. So we'll talk about it now, I guess, in the sense that Rodri's out. Yeah. Right. That City game is our big. That's like the next big barrier for us. Like I still stand by it. If we go through the season and we can tick off all those boxes, Anfield away, City at any point, and like that Everton game sort of representative of our ability to maybe, be a little bit spineless. Yeah. And we don't win the league, fair play. That just shows that the team who beats us, or the teams who come above us, are a nuts team. All we can do is try and better ourselves from last year. And obviously, we dropped points to Spurs, but Rodri being out, we can't dwell on this Spurs result. We have to,
get on with it and go up. Go again.
Yeah, and go again, man.
Well, you got next week, you got the Champions League, and you got City. So the next 3 weeks, again, another 3 big weeks. We keep feels like now every week feels like a big week for us, especially the way City go.
City drop points. Should we move on to the City game?
We'll touch on the City game then. That was the earlier Saturday game, 2-0. Yeah. But I guess I don't watch City. Guys get bored.
Yeah,
you guys watch it. But the biggest thing that comes out this weekend is Rodri's finally made a mistake, right? Like I feel like this guy's never makes a mistake.
It was a bit like the Casemiro one, eh? It was literally.
Hear me out, right? I get last year, and we were all big. I wish we had a podcast last year. That debate raged on forever, but this was so minuscule contact. Gibbs White went down like a
it wasn't a red in my eyes.
Bro, I saw the tweets.
He tickled his neck, and he just did the whole like.
Do you guys have Twitter?
Yeah.
United trade?
The trade, United trade.
Never in my life have I seen, someone be choked out. That's so funny, man.
But he went down so
bad. I don't get how you have to give that. No,
I know.
But you have to go down,
You have to go down.
No, you do not have to give that a red.
No, I'm not.
You have to give-
no, I'm not saying you.
But because
have
they
to give a
do,
red,
that's why they go down.
But I'm saying
that's
it's in like
the reason why they go down.
if you're going to get the red, Morgan Gibbs White has to go down there, right? He has to look as if he's been shot.
Yeah.
And he did it. Like
And he
you know,
rolled a bit.
In my
exaggerated.
opinion, it was the exact same as the Casemiro one. They did both.
I think Casemiro had a bit more force. I reckon Rodri.
Rodri's hands were on it. He did
Rodri,
not
Rodri like
squeeze.
stroked his neck.
He
I
did
swear. It
not
was like,
squeeze.
I seriously.
So
no,
if someone puts their hand on someone's neck now, it's a straight red pretty much.
that's what it looks like. That's what this precedent's been set.
Look, I think the two hands like
It's the more the premise
it-
of like. It's an image thing, right? It's an image. It's like we're not gonna condone like.
Yeah, I don't, it's a weird one because I agree. If it was like an AFL tribunal thing, and you're ticking the boxes for like, okay, intent was there, yes, yeah, obviously had intent, but the force was nothing, right?
Minimal. Yeah.
It's like it would be he'd get off.
Yeah, fine. Like,
But I just think it's like it doesn't work like that in the Prem, and I think if the intent is there, then
it's there,
that
right?
I think it's a more of an
there's
intent
bigger
based
issues though. Like when players are going up to each other and like basically not headbutting but pushing heads on each other, that's a worse look.
Who was that? Edison and
Was it Bolly? It came up.
Yeah,
oh, it wasn't.
that's a worse look.
Hudson
in
Odoi?
my
Was it
eyes.
Who the hell was it?
Hudson Odoi? No, who was it?
Who the hell? It wasn't Bolly.
No, it wasn't Bolly.
Hudson Odoi?
Oh my god, who the hell was it? Edison? No,
Awonyi.
Yeah, Awonyi. Yeah.
Yeah, don't
I
you
don't wanna
reckon
say-
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
worse look? You got two players headbutting.
Yeah, I think
like-
head to head is, to be honest, like.
But they don't do anything for that. They don't even
You
do
know
yellow.
what?
No,
Scratch-
they both-
that's
yeah,
just
they both
passion
do,
merch. We're trying to make a living off that sort of stuff. Just like swearing at people, grabbing his neck, and stuff like that.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, to be honest, I did watch the City game though, and City looked like they were going to do
control it.
like very similar to
How
what
good
Newcastle
was-
did.
how good
First
was
14
Foden's
minutes. First 14 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
Foden's finish
you know
was
what? You say
insane.
Foden's finish, but like that touch was as well from Walker. Like
Yeah, no, but
touch
the
inside.
fact
wow.
that he knew that Foden was coming, because why would you like square it? He pulled the ball back.
Yeah,
It must
I
be
know.
something like practicing their practice because they went on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ball. Like that was
But, yeah,
on
wow,
the
what
eye.
a finish.
Yeah.
City looked so good. Obviously, it went
Without the red, do you reckon they go and put 6, 7 passes?
nah, but the red
Because
was
the red
late.
came like 50 or 60, like maybe 60 or 70 actually. But
The first half, that was battering. I watched parts of the first half, and
They still the biggest problem I find with City is they've got the knack to be able to very easily concede. Like although we like say
you say that, but I feel like they've got a few clean sheets now.
yeah, but although we like
Well, Newcastle clean
we say
sheet,
all the defenders and
clean sheet.
we name the names like that they play and they're such big names. Like I don't know if it's because like they push so many people forward or what it is, but like there was a couple times when Awonyi should have scored and stuff.
Oh no! Look, I know what you meant from last year because I had Edison in FPL, so don't worry, you're telling me about this. Like I think a lot of the time when City concede, they're like 2 or 3-0 up, and it's like 90th minute. To be
and the
completely
centre backs
honest.
on the edge of the
Yeah,
area.
and
like,
it's kind of like a, you can excuse that because they've already won the game.
Yeah.
So I sort of get you, and Edison did make a couple of good saves, I think.
Yeah.
But But-
3 clean sheets in
yeah,
6
3
games.
and 6, not bad.
And they've only conceded 1 every other game.
So they against
conceded one against West Ham,
Newcastle,
Fulham.
See, like
Like
their 2 biggest games of the year, West Ham and Newcastle. Like they've kept clean sheets. So
it's
when it
No,
matters,
not against West Ham.
they scored against
Oh,
West
they
Ham.
scored,
They
okay.
scored against
Oh, yeah,
Fulham.
yeah, yeah. You're
So
right.
Fulham
That's
scored
what
against them,
Walker scored.
and Sheffield scored 1 against them.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like for City though,
Wait, Burnley scored as well.
Burnley,
No, they did
only
3-0,
3-0, yeah.
3-0.
For City though, it's just like you're right. It's a bit of switch off. It's a bit of like 70th minute where the game's sort of pettering out, where like the whole new team's been subbed on, and it's sort of like catch the counter. They just, I sort of reckon they're in top gear yet though. I still reckon
And that's
they're
the scary part.
like, even his red stuff.
they've
They went
got
down to
8
1-0.
But
Like
they've also
they haven't
versed
dropped-
no one.
No, but that's still scary.
still,
though. Like
they can just turn over teams like that.
They're 18 points from 18, and like, yeah, it feels like they're not in full gear. Yeah.
It feels like you can't score against them until like the 80th minute
Because
because
their
they'll just
biggest
score
problem
3
has always
goals, yeah.
been that they start pretty poorly, and then
Yeah.
come Christmas they switch on, and
Yeah.
and they do what they did last year,
Yeah.
and years before that, where they hunt
Every
down
single
whoever's
year
above
they
them.
do, yeah.
This year,
I've not told a single
it feels like it's gonna have to be roles reverse.
Yeah,
like it's
having
they're
a
gonna
choke
have to get,
mid-season or something.
yeah, they're gonna need Rodri to get red carded again, and like.
And they've got injuries. They've got some like, they've got some serious amount of injuries as
Well,
well.
Bernardo Silva's out.
KDB.
Kovacic was on the
KDB's
bench.
obviously
KDB's
out.
obviously still out, and then up top, like they had Grealish back, but yeah, they
He's
don't
been
they don't have heaps of depth.
Stones is
like
out.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
like it's just like but they're still just got
but they're still rolling. They're still
Rolling
18 from
teams
18, and
yeah.
and like historically, to be honest, it feels like City have dropped points in games which no one would expect them. Like, you know,
like the Forest game, like the weekend.
Yeah,
yeah.
Whereas they never, like, you know, they didn't drop a point to us last year, and we came second. So, and they're not doing that right now, despite having versed no one hard. It's going to need to be a different year where City don't win the league because they're beating all the bad teams convincingly, and
we have to wait and see with a good team. We've got 2 weeks to wait, but we'll see how they go.
We're going to have to. Look.
To be honest, though, if we look back at last year, you guys were 5-0 or 6-0.
Yeah.
It was a bit,
and you guys battered all the crap teams as well.
Yeah, but that's right. But I'm also saying
it's going to be expected
for City's template. The template for City is I
definitely
experiment a little bit, play around, try and
new signings, to
gel the new guys in.
But Doku's sent us the ground running.
That's not this year's complete opposite. They've started on fire.
Yeah.
And they have like their injuries are already here, like, you know, like as in all those things which come sort of around Christmas and that, like everything's already out the way. Like they've started on the ball, and they look to only get stronger from here. Yeah, which is concerning. But we're gonna have to buck the trend. Yeah, or Liverpool
or someone else. Yeah. We'll go to the other earlier Saturday games. Luton 1, Wolves 1. I watched this one because it was interesting to see how Luton were going to go. They got their first point, so
as if you watched that game.
Congrats to Luton.
Yeah, I know.
That is insane for me to watch that game.
I can't. I reckon every City game is boring than Luton game.
Pump them or
no?
Pedro
Luton were better in the first half. I'll give it to them. They were, Wolves looked a bit off it. Like just
is that Neto's got 5 returns this year. Goal and 4 assists.
Yeah, he's a leading assister. Yeah. His goal was impressive.
Yeah, his goal was really good.
Picked the ball up and just drove at like 3 blokes.
It actually just showed levels. Like whoever that defender was so slow.
Yeah, it got put in his backside.
That was crazy.
And the fact the finish, like you know when the finish just smashes the net, it's just like
whenever they're close to goal, they bang it.
Belted in the net. I was like, that's such a good goal. And like the celebration, pumping the away fans. But then, as I said, the handball penalty for Luton. Morris scores another penalty. That's there.
He hit the post as well, Morris.
Yes, he hit the post, and someone hit the crossbar as well. And he blocked a shot, like Brown's shot, and he jumped and he still hit. So that's just sort of what Luton's first half was better. Wolves' start to the second half was better. And
so
the back
was
half,
the most we've seen from Luton all year?
Definitely. And I think that's more of a sign that Wolves isn't as good as... I think we're giving them a little bit too much credit. Like, they'll be right.
For a team that hadn't won or anything.
Yeah, but they're like obviously ahead of Luton, but they're not night and day. Yeah. Last year I was thinking they were night and day ahead of them, they're not night and day at all. And Luton get their first point, but it's just, again, when you have a team to 10 men, you have it on top, and the last 30 minutes at home, you can't get a winner. Yeah.
Especially when you're like versing a relegation battle.
Exactly. We'll touch on the rest of the other relegation teams, but I feel like this week as well, it's key to see that these promoted sides just don't have it to compete. Yeah. Like, obviously they compete, but they can't get results. We talk about Sheffield so many times now, but obviously we know what happened to them, and then Burnley, we'll touch on them with United, but these guys need to get results at some point, right? Like, and I said it, Wolves going to be the team they're going to have to beat at home. Wolves, Sheffield, and Everton, Everton did as well, but if you can't beat Wolves at home, what's going to happen when Everton come down? What's going to happen when Sheffield come down? So, another disappointing week for Luton. Palace and Fulham. You guys didn't see this one either. I split screen.
I watched a little bit of it, but not enough to be able to make too much of a comment.
It was a ball. It was a bit of a ball. Like, it was two teams, just no end product, right? And again, it's like Jimenez. For Mitchell to Jimenez, that's going to be one of the biggest drop-off strikers.
I mean, what happened to Vinicius? He came in at the end of
last year.
I thought he was good. Yeah,
and he's just
scored
bench
against
riding
City,
now.
and now he just...
He has to start eventually, right?
Wait, I just don't know how... Like, if they're really persisting with Jimenez, eh?
Yeah, it's like... It's obviously a really bad freak accident, but ever since then, he's like not been the same player.
He scored 1 goal last year.
And he hasn't looked a lot. Like, he gets in chances, just passes. There was a chance in the weekend he could have shot. He like tries to cross the ball across the box, and everyone's like...
I don't know, man.
But Fulham look better. Fulham look closer to what last year was. Yeah. But yeah, they'll come
just
good,
no end product though.
I mean, if they get some forward in January, they will be at least pushing mid-table. But if they keep like this, they'll be a Crystal Palace probably. I think Palace might move up a little bit, and they'll be a Crystal Palace like a 13th spot.
Well, even then, Palace no end product as well. I mean, did they have chances?
Like, Fulham had the better chances. Palace had the odd there. Ez had a few shots. I'm surprised Matata didn't start with Edouard because they came off the bench again. Stupp was a bit rubbish. They have to change a few things in there, but Palace will be fine. Yep. Palace will just be Palace, right? And then the surprise game. So between the early games and the late kickoff was Brentford 1, Everton 3.
Yeah.
I unfortunately didn't see much. I was
I
getting
did
my
get a-
nap in
I
before
did
I
get a
watched
look at
the
the
game.
highlights.
It's like half an hour of this game, first 45 minutes.
Well, the start seemed like Everton just got off the fly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they
Yeah.
did. So, like, I think we're sort of relating to like the preseason predictions. I think we all sort of agreed that we weren't sure exactly how Brentford were going to find goals.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, my sort of assumption was that, they're just not going to find it.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys are sort of saying, like, we'll back Thomas Frank to find a way,
Yeah,
right?
you
No, I think we were more looking at, I think I've put them 13th or 14th.
Yeah.
So I think we were more saying they'll find some goals.
That-
Obviously,
no,
they'll be
that's
able
what
to
I'm saying.
replicate
No,
what
because
Tony
I
did.
literally said I think they'll finish 16th, right? So I
Yeah.
said like
They'll
up
find
until
nothing
Tony
pretty
comes, I can't see them scoring just because I don't see like that much attacking output in that team.
Yep.
I think this game was more like reflective of
Last
that.
2 weeks, I guess you can say. Yeah.
So versing teams which are going to sit back more. Like they obviously put 2 past Spurs.
Yep.
And then scored
How many past?
a couple the following week.
Yeah, I'll check it for you.
Against teams that played Burnley because Burnley came
Burnley
up with the
play
high
possession.
line, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe I was like, I'm still going to sort of, I still think that same thing applies where, they've got Mbeumo up front, they've got Wissa up front, they've got some quick guys up there.
Yeah.
Obviously Kevin Schade as well. So get them in behind enough times, they're going to put a few away, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like this game where Everton are sort of sitting a little bit deeper and once Everton go 1-0 up, right?
Yeah.
It makes it a lot harder for, even though Brentford equalised, it's still like they're suddenly on the back foot more. They can suddenly sort of sit a little bit deeper, sit a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I just think Brentford like a lack of creation through the players they have up front there, because that's a game where Tony would be perfect.
Or to find something
Where like
right.
he draws the 2 centre backs, right? Like he's gonna be a stable piece up front against a sort of a more physical team.
Definitely, yeah.
And then it's going to allow Mbeumo, and he was getting really deep. I thought
He was.
it was so
not
strange.
highlights. It was like a Harry Kane thing. It was like getting really up.
He was getting really deep and picking the ball up pretty low, whereas Wissa was playing higher, and it was just I didn't obviously watch the second half where I think Everton kicked away, but
do you give a bit of like a testament to Deitch in this situation?
This is the most Deitch performance of all time. Like Tarkowski header. Dominic Calvert-Lewin nicked the ball back and play him in on a counter.
Great for him, however. Great,
to get back on the score
sheet.
sheet.
Get back on the score sheet this year after coming off being injured. If he can really produce
needs to stay
10 to 15 goals this year.
Yeah, well, I think everyone thinks he can. He just can't stay fit. Like
the bloke
Dominic
managed to
Calvert-Lewin,
break his face. How do you do that?
That is so legit.
Yeah.
Like
that's just
the most
who he is.
injury-riddled career thus far.
Yeah.
And the only way it can get worse, he gets like a blunt trauma accident from a head collision. I mean, when does that ever happen, man? I think everyone thinks DCL has the ability, right?
Yeah, and he'll work in the Dyche system.
Yeah, and he definitely should work in that system because he'll be the target man up there.
He's clinical when he has to be. He's tall. He's strong.
Can he stay fit?
But saying that, they got Beto. I actually don't mind. He looks like a decent sort of Dyche shops, and again, he just physical, throws his body around. He even said, "I'm not the most skilled player. I'm just going to work. I'm just here to work hard." He came out and just said, "I'm not good. I'm just here to work," and that's basically what Dyche is. But you see the game, you go Tarkowski header, Decore scores, who's his wonder star. It seems he's got 8 goals in the Dyche. The stat was, and then obviously that Canada goal. Garner playing the ball through, obviously former United. He's playing
great,
very good for them.
Everton, to be honest. A little bit annoyed with United letting him go, especially with
what's going
our
on
defensive midfield woes. I can't see a world where he would be worse than McTominay.
That's a great.
Your calls in United are so.
But it's true. I don't think he could.
No, it's just funny. It's just so absolute
matter of fact and just
just not possible.
It's funny. I think Preston agrees with me in this case. Garner's been excellent, and you've heard so much from Goldbridge, from other United pundits or whatever about Garner, about what
when
he's
he's
done.
at Forest, that championship year they came up, he was a key figure of that Steve Cooper side.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't re-sign him. To be honest, I'm surprised that never happened. But he's obviously done it there in the championship. Now has proven if you can do it there, you can convert it up now. We're seeing that sort of happen more often. But for Everton, it's just a much needed win, right? If they lose that again, you're stuck with the others on 1 point. You're stuck with Luton. You're stuck with the other guys on 1 point. Sheffield on 1 point, and it looks grim. But you get a result, and all of a sudden they're 15th and out the bottom. So do you reckon they can go on now and just get the odd point here and there
next week,
get their win? That's a great.
I on that, I think, they definitely can go on. I think a diet system...
Luton at home. It's a massive
I think a
6-2.
diet system really works on like confidence.
If you're Everton, you really need to win this weekend.
Yeah, you have to.
Home,
but if they
Luton.
do win, which they should win,
But
it looks really promising.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far. I would more so say, and I think this.
I don't know about promising in
I
terms of
think-
not getting relegated though. Not promising. Not promising in terms of like
European
they're
push.
going to go like finish 12th
Like I
on the
said,
ladder.
yeah, okay. No, fair enough. I'm glad you clarified that. I was going to more so say, and I think, I don't think they'll like, particularly like click and, move, like, keep going. I just think more so as in, this is probably like the tail of their season where they will pick up wins here and there and accumulate points slowly but
Get
surely.
that 17th spot. Like,
Yeah. I think it'd be more so like that story rather than like, they're going to kick on now, go on a run of form and get 4 or 5 or get 3 or 4 in the trial.
No,
I know
definitely.
you're not saying that, but it's in like,
But
I
it's just
think-
the whole feeling
yeah.
changes all of a sudden because you get one win.
Definitely. That's
like,
definitely
even personally,
true.
I went from thinking like, God, where's
These
their win
guys
going to
aren't-
come
yeah,
from
yeah.
to like
Yeah.
next week, do they put 4 past Luton? You know what I mean? Like, it's just sort of things like that, right? It just
You're
changes
right.
the
you're
mindset.
right. Like that's definitely a factor, but
Especially
I
against
think-
Thomas Frank's Brentford. Like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's
let's not
a
forget
very hard challenge.
to
Yeah,
go and
that's a
play
big-
there.
that's a
He's
big
one of the
win.
hardest, become one of the hardest places to play. I mean, Newcastle won there in the last year.
Yeah.
So that they've beaten City at that ground. So like we need to forget. Like I know it was a really really off day for them, and we talk about the Tony thing and blah blah blah. But still to go there and get a result the way they got a result.
It's crazy
Yeah.
how Brentford can get such big results against big teams.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at their stats last year in terms of the results against big teams. Like they had great results across the board against the big 6,
Yeah.
big 7. But it's just like they're clearly dropping points to the
They
lesser
always
teams.
find like this. Yeah, these are the games.
If they're finishing 12th and 13th or whatever, it's like if they're betting or if they're competitive against all the big teams, where are they
draws
dropping
and-
their
yeah,
points?
and it's to the
They're
bottom.
clearly, and maybe that's sort of to do with the fact that the teams that give them less respect, they're better than, right?
Yeah, yeah. You
Like-
got
like-
your point.
Yeah,
Perfectly,
when a team wants to play the way they want to play against Brentford, that's probably when when they're able to score,
back,
right?
yeah.
Over the back, like they got quick players up top, and they're going to capitalize on that when they get their chances, right? But yeah, suddenly when you versus a team that respects you more than you respect them,
Yeah.
and they had the ball more, and they got possession, blah blah blah. That's when they're finding it. That's
Yeah.
clearly when they find it hard
In
to
trouble,
score.
yeah.
So yeah,
Imagine how that
Yeah,
works
well,
out.
just a last final touch on what Dyche has done. I think going back on the confidence thing, I think when you say they might not go on a string, you just don't know in the sense of we haven't seen Calvert-Lewin fit, and we were touching on him before. He's got 1 goal. If he can go get another one against Luton, which you'd hope he does, if he's fit, he plays 90 minutes.
If he plays, yeah,
He should really
score.
get some sort of output, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then the likes of Tarkowski, who we've been slatering
moments,
this
Tarkowski.
whole this whole year about how he's not looking like he
well,
was.
he's not been the guy he was.
Yeah,
at
not
Burnley,
not
right?
doing the job that Dyche would want him to do. Really,
Yeah.
Now he's coming to that. You think about Dyche ball really at its finest. You think about games like last year against Arsenal when Tarkowski gets that header,
Against
that-
City when they're just pissing off Haaland, stuff
yeah,
like that. Like, just,
that's Dyche ball. Not all these mistakes. For you to do well under Dyche ball, you can't make these little mistakes
Yeah,
because
yeah.
And that's the
there's
biggest thing on
only
the weekend. They didn't make
you're
mistakes.
only going to win so many games.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can't afford to make mistakes
When you're also
all the time.
only going to get so many
chance.
attacking outputs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
exactly.
So when you do get one,
It's like your XG thing. They're only going to get a certain amount of XG, but if they have mistakes, they're going to give the XG. to
they
the
can't
opposition.
give away free
Yeah.
goals,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause
And the
'cause
first
it's
few
been
losses
yourself.
has just been giving it away, right?
Yep.
And it's been painful being a Pickford owner.
Exactly. We'll touch through throughout this thing. I think really interesting. The late game, Burnley, Man United. Got a fake fan who fell asleep halfway through the game, but it was one
Yeah,
of
we
those.
were touching on this
It
last
was
night.
one of
What
those
time was it?
games.
3 a.m.
It was 3 a.m. kickoff.
Oh, stiff.
It was one of those games though.
So did you go to bed?
I missed the Everton game. I slept through the Everton game. Woke
Okay.
up for this game.
Yeah.
So I went to bed as well. So then I woke up, walked up onto the lounge, and for those that are watching, I was like this, watching the game, and my eyes started to close. I woke up at 5:30, sitting upright.
Same position.
That's
Slept
hilarious.
on with the TV on. Just
Well, and the score was up, and it was like the post match.
Yeah.
5:30.
Owen Hargraves is doing his thing at the post match.
And they're just waffling like.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, 1-0.
I don't know who waffles more. I saw them.
Get us on the board. We'd waffle more than they would. Obviously, yeah, Burnley 0, Man United 1. But I want to start off preface by saying I'll give a bit of a spiel because we're talking a bit about this off air. Going into the game, I wake up and was just I was, you know, when you like, I'm just double check. Like, what am I reading? Like, I'm reading the bench that has no defenders on it. I'm reading Johnny Evans.
What was
with
your
Lindelof
lineup?
at the back.
I didn't look at this game.
Hannibal
When Reguilon, Evans, Lindelof, Delo, Casemiro, Hannibal, McTominay, Bruno Rashford, and Højlund.
So Bruno played on the right.
Bruno played on the right, and whenever Bruno plays on the
Hannibal
right,
played like 10.
but Hannibal plays.
Yeah,
but whenever
Hannibal
Bruno
plays
plays on the right, we don't get the best of Bruno. That's simply what it is.
Yeah, I hate when
Even
Bruno
though he
plays.
did score a ripper.
Goal.
No,
But
I agree, but
coming to the
hate when
game,
Bruno plays on the right.
I was just like, get a result. That's what I felt like. And in the game, it was
that's
the
crazy.
most get a result. We were playing Burnley, how Burnley used to play at Burnley, because Burnley were bopping around, passing around,
10
great
high,
early
bro.
chances. Should have scored, I think, in the 15th to 20th minute.
Is this Burnley?
Yeah, Burnley. And then it was basically 2 moments for Man United.
Yeah.
The corner for Evans that was ruled off because of Højlund interference, and then the Bruno goal.
What's your opinion on that, by the way?
That was interference, yeah. If he let go of him, it was fine, but he was still holding him when
But again, it
the
was
header
like,
was
was he
connected.
holding him or was he touching him? And I don't know what the exact rules are, but like to me, it was like that.
But as a neutral though, like you look at it though, like have you seen that offside?
He headers
Nah,
in,
I didn't
Højlund's
see
in a like offside position, and he's touching the keeper. Like his
You know when
arm
they
like that.
shield out the keeper,
Yeah.
they're doing it all game.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah,
Trafford's
yeah.
not as good in the. He's
Yeah,
great
yeah.
with his feet,
It's
but he's
like
not
one
as
of
good in the
his-
air.
yeah,
Yeah. So that was obviously the ploy, and
Sorry,
it
I'm
worked.
a casual. I have more highlights.
It worked though. Well, it was a goal,
Spoils
but I
myself right
think that was. I reckon it
Yeah.
was interference. Instantly when I saw VAR, I was like, oh no. And you know what happens when they go to the box and it was always going to overturn. But for United point of view, it was one of those games which last year was more of the Europa League games. We put some second teams out, but the fact it was a Premier League game is probably not a great sign. I was there just please just score a goal and just sit in, and that's what he did. Like there was no game plan after the game. The wafflers were waffling, but I was saying that Burnley had a better play style and looked more promising than Manchester United,
And this is what I was saying
and that's what
all
he's saying
last week.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, and the week before.
and that's what
And every other
the
week
thing
before.
that concerns me is if you go out there with that team like Johnny Evans, McTominay, Hannibal, and like no, listen. You don't even listen to what I'm saying. Against the City or against an Arsenal, you can understand the team is like underwhelming. But against Burnley, you still have a better starting 11 than Burnley.
Thank God. I thought you were going to like justify something.
No.
Thank God you said that.
So
I was about to ask you, tell me Burnley's best player right now. And you wouldn't have been able to name
yeah,
one.
that's what I'm. No, this is what I'm getting at. Even though we're playing players who would not get a game ever really for United, like Johnny Evans, like Hannibal, even McTominay, we still Reguilon maybe even like we're still playing a team that is well above our opposition. Why are we going there and sitting to get a result? Like I understand.
Well, I said this to you a couple weeks ago, like, in terms of why I don't rate Ten Hag, and you like weren't agreeing with this.
I just saw so much last year that I'm not seeing this year. That's why I think I'm reminiscing a lot.
It's like
still on last
changing
year.
rapidly. It's like changing.
Yeah, it's changing
And
rapidly.
is that the case across
It's only
United
been
fans?
6 games.
The thing is,
That's why I can't say bad about Ten Hag yet. He
We've
was
sort
good
of
last.
reversed because after the Arsenal game, I was a bit with you, but in this game, I'm the other way around because I'm
You're more result driven in this game.
yeah, because there's
after
times
after the week.
yeah, because the time with what's going on with the injuries, and I don't again. Ten Hag said it, and it looks like he's trying to play the blame game, but you don't play the blame game with Man United. You never do it because you're Man United, right? But with all that's going on, with what's happening, you just need a result. Like you just have to get 3 points, and it's the smaller things. Though again, I don't want to keep picking up, but the chance that Burnley get Rashford is there, throwing his hands up and not running, and just expecting Reguilon to pick Koleoshe up on the overlap. Like stuff like this annoys me. It is when I don't see Palestri playing.
What is up with Palestri?
And
No, what do you mean
Garnacho
what's
as well.
up with Palestri? He
Garnacho as
started
well.
in the Champions League.
So he played a
He's
great
not gonna
game.
play- Yeah, he started and played 70 minutes in the Champions League.
So why didn't he play against
He's
Burnley?
not going to play today then.
Well, everyone on City's team started during the week.
That's for me.
Oh,
That was the
started,
biggest.
Alvarez
Why
started.
don't
But
we
he's played Hannibal instead of Palestri.
No, I'm just saying, as in like
I reckon you have to
swear he's
start-
got for like prem minutes, man.
I reckon you have to start Palestri. That's what I thought as well.
It's just a weird one because I don't understand. Like, we took it to Bayern. In my opinion, it was a very, very 50-50 game in terms of like
We deserve to lose.
how
but
we
took it to
played.
them. We took it
Yeah,
to
how
them,
we played. Like, you look, we lost 4-3 and Onana made a mistake. Like, I know, in my opinion, it was just slightly leaning towards Bayern and it was at the Allianz. Like,
Nah, it's
we
kind of
took
a moral,
it to them.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Moral
took
victory.
it to them, like, in the sense of, like, but then we can't take it to Burnley, what? Because we got Johnny Evans and McTominay playing instead of Ericsson and
That is it though. That's
and
basically it.
Lisandro.
That's basically it. That's
Yeah, but
why.
those
Yeah,
two
but-
players aren't changing the difference between Burnley and Bayern
But
as well.
it's their capabilities. It's their skill set. Because you can't go to Burnley, a team who will counter press you, a team that will pass around you, a team that's well quick. Kolyosho was quick, Damdouni's quick. All these are quick. They had quick attackers. We got Johnny Evans and Lindelof, who aren't the sharpest players.
Yeah.
And you had Dalot, who was on a yellow card from the start. Burnley stuffed that up. They switched Kolyosho to the right when they should have kept him on the left because Dalot picked up a yellow from him straight away. And for some reason, they rotated
Dalot's
it
a
over.
better defender than Reguilon, so that's probably why.
I don't know, but they should have kept Kolyosho on Dalot and got him red carded because he would have got him red card for the way he was going. But they changed it around. We had to play like that conservatively because we didn't want to get counter-attacked. Because if we did get counter-attacked, God knows he was going to stop the counter-attack.
Yeah.
Look, the way I look at it a little bit is like, it's like a little bit like in a relationship, right?
Here we go.
If you're, no, this is going to be a good analogy, right?
Cool.
Let's say like you're 25, right? It's a little bit different when you're younger. Let's say you're 25 and you sort of get to that age now where you want to meet a girl and if you're going to pursue things,
yeah.
Well, you want to meet your partner, right?
Yeah.
And you're sort of at that age where it's like, okay, maybe you want to look long term, right?
Yeah.
And if it's not going to work, you want to bite the bullet, get it done straight away, right? Because that's all it is doing is wasting time and all those money on the dates, blah, blah, blah. You're taking it home, you're spending drinks, you're doing this.
Yes. I see what you're going.
I just think and unfortunately, it's not the same in terms of the way you can cut the throat. But I think with Ten Hag, I can't see Ten Hag and United progressing to much more than a Carabao Cup. Okay,
do you not see
said that before.
Though? Like, I think you're going to say there wasn't much, but I saw a lot last year, and maybe that's why this girl and this guy started, seeing each other more and more often because they liked it a little bit. They're like, oh wow, I'm attracted to you. But then they started talking a little bit more, and finally, beneath it all, they realized, okay,
it's not meant to be.
This can go on for a little bit. It might last a little bit. We'll see some great things. But beneath it all, is it going to last the next 20 years? And are we going to have a dynasty here?
He's cooked you.
And are we going to win? Are we going to win the Champions League? Are we going to win the Prem? I don't know.
You're loving yourself too much after that analogy.
No, that was crazy. He was doing these. He was cooking.
No, you're completely right.
But sweat. Honestly,
like,
I just feel like with Ten Hag, there's going to be. He's just. I think you can achieve things maybe. I think you can make top 4 years in a row and get reasonably far in the Champions League and stuff. But the reason why I liked Arteta from day one, and even when we were so bad, is because I thought if this is going to go well, I think it can go really well.
Yeah.
And look, maybe it won't get that far. Maybe I'm wrong with Arteta. Maybe Pep's just so good that no matter who is there,
no one can
you can't beat him, right?
Yeah.
Like Klopp is a generational manager, right?
And he still
it
can't
took
go
it took Jurgen Klopp 1 in 5 years.
Yeah.
To win, to beat Pep.
Yeah, no.
So my point with that's why I liked Arteta so much because even when we were so bad, he persisted with his ideology, and if it was going to work, it's going to work. If it wasn't, it wasn't. It would be done.
That's the thing of Ten Hag. The ideology in keeping at the likes of Rashford, keeping with Bruno playing out of position, keeping with McTominay, and this stuff like this. This especially Rashford, this persistence with someone that won't pass the ball as a winger, That's what worries me.
Yeah.
Playing favourites with these guys, play Bruno as a 10.
But it makes sense for Ten Hag though, because he obviously wants to have a long career, right?
Yeah, but it's not going to work in the long run if you're going to keep playing these sort of favourites or keep being frustrating with
getting rid of the guy, as you said, who kept him his job last year. Is probably outweighing at the moment.
But Arteta bit the bullet with, we said last week, with Aubameyang.
And it's the gamble, it's the risk. It's like...
It is.
And that's why... Arteta won over so many fans despite us winning 1 in 9 games.
Yeah, it was a tough run.
I mean, there's that photo of our run in Europa and the FA Cup and everything.
Season, wasn't it? Yeah.
And we were shocking. It was the game which saved him his job was Norwich at home. We won 1-0. Yeah. Right?
Do you think if he lost that, he would have been gone?
Yeah, 100%. I think the pressure was...
T-shirts Arteta out.
Bro, the pressure was huge, man. Troops was losing it. The fan base, and at the time, the fan bases were really impactful, right? They had a loud sound. Right, I think he would have been gone, but
you have to bite the bullet eventually though on these players for Ten Hag. I think you have to
just finally, from my side, I think again, it's 6 games in. We've had so many injuries. We don't actually have any available defenders. You see Reguilon's injured as well. So we've got now 3 starting.
No fullback.
Our first 3 choice starting left backs out.
Yeah,
we've got our right back out. Wan-Bissaka, so we've got just
you guys are plagued at the moment. Like, to be fair, nothing's going your way.
Yeah,
Like,
so at the point
that's why I
in
wanted the
time,
result. I'm
if
happy
this
with
is
the
still
result,
going
yeah.
on,
and that's why
match week 12.
That's why I'm not like
I'll
slandering
join
him this
you.
week.
I'll join you straight away in match week 12.
I just
if it's still going
But
on.
the thing for me is you've got Garnacho, you've got Palestri, you've got Martial. Why the hell is Rashford playing 90 minutes week on week when he won't pass the ball as a winger?
When he doesn't fit your like...
There's all these screen captures on Burnley of like when he's shooting and Hoyland's like there doing these ones like playing me the ball, and then when the ball's not good from Hoyland, he's doing these ones back to him when he's not playing the ball. I like him.
Hoyland, to be fair to him, he looks good.
He actually,
looks good.
Here's what Martial used to have. He has energy. Because Martial's injuries have got to the best of him. Yeah. It reminds me of Martial when he first joined, where he might not. I think he's not going to finish product, right?
It's hard,
but he's around the place. He's a presence. Yeah. He's physical. He's in behind.
I would like him.
My final comment on all this: I think you guys are understating how hard it is as a manager to take off a player who you know, and it's probably apart from Bruno as well. It's the only attacking player you know that could do nothing all game and come up with a goal.
Yeah, but is the Orba example not the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Like I've told you before, Orba won the Golden Boot, bro.
He was the best player in their team.
He was the Golden Boot winner the previous year.
If you're 0-0 and you're looking for a goal, you're not taking off the person who, like.
But do we need it? Do we need to go down to 8th like they did that year and change things to make the better?
Again, but I don't think we have the ability to.
You've got 3 guys on the bench who can replace the bloke that I'm talking about.
From the fan base.
You guys are agreeing. It's just you're saying that as in you don't think it can happen, and you're saying you think maybe that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, you should do.
And I'm telling you from experience, I think that's what needed to happen. We needed to bottom out after such a long era under Wenger, where everything was the same regime.
Yeah, you're playing with a fine line there. Again, you're talking about one game which if you didn't beat Norwich, Arteta was sacked. I don't even think Ten Hag would be given that much.
I'm saying that I feel that way, but you could have said that 3 or 4 games before, so who knows? It could have been another.
No,
3 or 4.
You're right, but
no. Tots,
do you think Ten Hag would be given that?
It's the premise of changing things. Premise of changing.
Well, now Ten Hag couldn't finish 8th. No, he couldn't now. He's already been there a year, and you want a Carabao Cup, and he spent a lot of money. He couldn't now.
He almost hurt himself.
But the point though is that maybe that's what's needed is like to pursue with someone who you think can actually take you to the top. Look, I'm sure Ten Hag has shown enough for some United fans to think that, right? But I just don't think it's a sustainable, big team brand or managerial decisions, etc. So I think you're agreeing with the premise that if you did bottom out and you did give him time to finish 8th, or you gave the right manager time to be able to bottom out,
it could work. Yes,
it would work. And I think we both agree with you. At United, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No.
Well, not historically. You said it wouldn't happen, but I think historically at Arsenal, you would have said the same thing.
I just look at it. Look at Ange.
When we finished 8th,
Ange doesn't need it.
Laughing stock, man. Huh?
But Ange doesn't need the time, and he'd have a lot worse players.
And that makes it worse for Ten Hag.
That's what I'm saying.
And it looks better for Ange.
But Ange is also coming into a club which is probably less fundamentally broken.
Yeah,
than United and Arsenal.
I don't know. It'd be close.
No. Look, I think.
But you know what? Ange has the ability that I think not many managers do to retool things and use what's at his disposal. He's one of those guys like the handyman, right? He uses things that were there and has made them good. Because you know why? He's worked in Japan. Yeah. He's worked in Scotland, where you don't get the superstars of Europe, but you pick these guys up and you pick what they're good at, like Bright, like De Zerbi, and you make these players good what they're good at and play them in a system which is going to suit them.
This is also a credit as well to Ange's Ange's coaching. Right?
His ability to just use Basuma, use Sarr, use Maddison.
Maybe Ange is just that good of a manager. Maybe it's more so a credit of Ange rather than a discredit of Arteta and Ten Hag, right? Having to Arteta's case having to finish 8th and Ten Hag not being able to perform right now. So maybe that's just Ange is an elite manager, and he's coming to show that he is. Well, but go.
Yeah,
so on the Spurs thing, being fundamentally broken, right?
Yeah.
Look, Spurs, I guess their biggest fundamental thing is they have that Spursiness, for lack of a better word. Yeah. That Spur. And that, a couple of weeks ago you would have said that's really fundamental. But it's looking clearly that Ange has been able to sort of change that belief in the players. And I think that comes with getting rid of a player like Harry Kane.
Yeah. And not being fazed by it. He's not fazed by it.
He didn't seem particularly invested in keeping Kane. Kane's my man. I need him to stay.
No.
It didn't feel that way, right? It felt kind of like a mutual, this is best for both clubs. Because what Kane does is he's managed to paper over some of the cracks over the last 10 years, which were the underlying issues at Spurs. And now that he's gone, no one's bigger than the club, right?
Yeah.
Like, Son is a great captain at the moment in the sense that he so openly advocates for loving the manager and being like, this guy, you know, I rate him so highly. I've learned so much from him. He's so openly let down his barrier of like his pride and said, I've learned so much from this guy. Whereas having Kane there, Kane would have been like, oh, yeah, like, you know,
He's a good manager.
Ange, great guy. He's really got the squad playing well. But he like,
He's English.
because
because
he's like was the biggest guy at the club. Harry Kane was Spurs.
Yeah.
It's no matter what manager you have. Like, you could have Antonio Conte, and you could have Mourinho, you could have all these big guys. Kane was like almost on an equal pedestal with that club. You know, if Kane was unhappy, get a new manager, not get a new striker, because he was such a generational talent. So I think like.
And
That's another
hindsight's obviously a
example.
great thing, obviously, looking back at it. But yeah.
Oh, look, my argument is panned out perfectly here in this scenario. Like, you know, this could have been completely different, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the same scenario with Ten Hag biting the bullet on Rashford.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he needs to, right? It's just, Rashford is still good. So it's like, you're not going to get rid of him, right? But it was like, as in, sometimes you need that proper circuit breaker. And maybe that was Kane. In our case, maybe that was Orba. You know, like, I can't really think of one at City at the moment, but like...
Was it like the likes of like the Claudio Bravo guts in, doesn't work?
Yeah.
Let's get in there. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
there's bigger and smaller examples. And Kane and Arsenal... Arsenal and Spurs is like Kane and Orba. And then, you know, there's Claudio Bravo. And there's just like... I mean, look, the Todd Bowley one hasn't worked out yet. A bite in the bullet on Thomas Tuchel. Look, that's not worked out well. But let you know, give it a bit of time.
Long run. And
let's see how that narrative looks when they come good, because Chelsea will come good. They spend enough money, right?
Yeah, they have to be good.
Like,
eventually.
And we can, you know, when they
it's not gonna be this year.
No, but when Chelsea do come good, and I think it'd be ignorant to say they won't, or naive,
There's so much talent there
because they spend so much money, and like, people can will be able to look at Todd Bowley objectively and be like, okay, it didn't work out the first few times, but he was willing to bite the bullet enough that when you got the right guy and he persisted with him, they got the best success. They got the highest level of success you can achieve, rather than being happy and complacent with top four.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep saying with Ten Hag. That's been my issue with him.
I guess that just leads us on
to Chelsea.
We leads us to Arsenal too. We talked a lot about them, but just final thing about like the Ange thing. Do you reckon this now like solidifies him as? It's so hard to say so early. As one of the top managers in the league.
I think can we say
this
until Christmas?
I'm on the same boat as Flynn.
The narrative would be to give it the bandwagon. You know, Ange is nuts, but like being pragmatic and you know having seen some great runs in the past, like when Unai took us to
and you would
20 games unbeaten, we're
nuts.
playing well.
I'll add a final touch to that. Like,
give it Christmas. I think.
Yeah, well, you look at Ange. And you look at the way he's playing, the possession-based football and the build-up play, and something that...
He ran a muck at the Emirates, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something that, like, right now is modern football. Like, it's what a lot of managers that are winning Europe, like...
But he's playing his style.
Yeah,
that's why it's good.
Adapted
that's why it's good.
Yeah, no, you're completely
he's not
right.
To play like
no, I don't think he's playing. Yeah. But I think that type of like possession, the modern possession-based football, and I think at the current like trajectory, he will definitely be a top 3-4 manager in the league. Like you're obviously still gonna have Pep, Klopp, and Arteta, who are definitely above.
So where does Spurs need to finish now this year?
4th.
No, for for Ange to be the manager of the season.
4th.
Nah, I don't think 4th.
Yes.
Maybe you're right, because like our predictions
pre-season. If Klopp gets third, Arteta gets second, and Pep gets first, he'll get it at 4th.
We predicted Spurs to be in such a bad spot.
Yeah. You're right. No,
which we thought was good. We thought 8th was like a good result.
8th is going to be like, it'll be like Arteta's first year at Arsenal. Finish 8th, like maybe something can come from that.
I think, it has to be tough. I'm thinking 3rd, but then you're not going to break in past Liverpool, Arsenal and City, because that's big to break into.
Okay,
maybe.
I think if he gets past either City or Arsenal, that's definitely manager of the year, because it probably means it comes top 2. Right?
I think if us Liverpool is so good.
Liverpool are good, but I still just think they weren't amazing over the last few years. Like, look, you're probably right. If you clipped my preseason predictions of Spurs, I'd probably look at 4 right now.
Yeah.
Because
But we all look like fools,
fourth is probably enough. Like, realistically.
If
probably said
Arsenal
that.
win the league, obviously Arteta will get it. But I think if Pep wins the league, and as long as
that's a
Ange
good call.
finishes
It's a good
top
call.
4,
Yeah.
Ange will get Ange will get it. So obviously, if Arsenal get it, Arteta has to
Unless, like, City got unbeaten.
obviously. But like, I don't think Pep will
Invincibles
get
too,
it if City win the league again.
They shouldn't. They spend as much money as we
Yeah,
do.
so
Like,
I think
And we know what they're about.
Well, a big thing we said at the start of the year was, you know what? Let's not worry too much about where Arsenal finishes, and let's worry about. It's a big thing you said throughout the whole year about other teams like Ten Hag and stuff, about what they're going to look like in the future, like their trajectory based off how they're playing. Because based off how they're playing is what you're really seeing, like them going on to win Champions Leagues, them going on to win Premier Leagues. Because if you don't have a good style and a style that looks progressive, that was our main thing though at the start of the year.
It's not only the style though; it's just the stuff he's put in place. I was telling you, I watched this interview.
I think style is important.
No, but
It's
style
not
is
important. It's not important. But like the interview I watched, like it just seems like you said, he didn't think he's bigger than the club. No one else is bigger than the club. It is we just do this together. And the interesting, which I said last night on the watch.
He still knows his place though. He's still the manager.
What I'm saying, but what I liked from the watch, he says one of the players said, "I don't reckon I spent more than 2 hours with you across these couple of years with you managing." And he says this because I don't want to get any attachment to players. So when I drop players, I don't care. So it's clear to see that no player is bigger than him. No, he is not bigger than any.
That's crazy. I haven't heard him say that. That's
so it was an
crazy.
interview with Gary Lineker, and he said, "Yeah, that's what it's all about." Like he said, "I'm here. I've bounced around from clubs. I go there. I put my philosophy." And he said, "I would only join the club if I had my philosophy." So it's clear to say that he's putting his philosophy down. His philosophy works. The play style works. That's the play style tick.
Yes.
The all round
Aura tick.
the aura
Passion
tick.
tick.
The all round like philosophy is put in tick, and the ability that no one's big in the club, which what you said there is a big tick as well, because we're seeing at some clubs that favoritism players talk like certain clubs, certain
It's
styles.
really political.
It's too much. Just keep it simple. If you're good, you play. You're not good. You
Clubs
don't play.
which succeed, like
The crap's cut out. You cut the crap out.
everything above the beyond the pitch is like in place, right? At City, off the pitch, besides maybe there's some of their financial law, law related stuff, legal stuff.
Best lawyers in
And
the world.
that is so separate, right?
Yeah.
That's not like they have bad owners. That's kind of like, okay, maybe they've kind of cheated to get to where they are. Yeah. But as in, City are a great run club.
run so well.
Like they are the model run club, right? And it feels like at Arsenal we're sort of getting in that direction. Like our CEO's leaving at the end of the year, but it doesn't feel like it's a force sign or you're getting sacked thing. It's more so just feels like a natural transition within the club.
You hand off nicely, right? Like it's that league.
And I'll give you the counter, like Chelsea, right? It feels like they're trying to run the club well, but it's just not. It's just like all. It feels reactionary. It feels like
He's
it
good,
feels
that's
rash.
Yeah.
And as a result, despite them having better business this window, having a great manager, it doesn't feel like the place is set up to succeed yet, right?
Yeah.
So I think Ange, he's been able to. I mean, man, credit to him. He's transformed that club.
I just want to
and their perception so
go back
quick.
on my point from before. I just think that our big focus at the start of the year was, can Ange play good football? Can we see how he's going to play against
we said that was going to be a big tick.
We said as long as he does that, it's a tick.
It's
If he goes and gets 60 points,
and if he gets slapped up at City trying to play his way,
we said that's a tick.
everyone else does as well. So
That's better off for next year.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
He's
that
already
and more.
ticked that box, and
he's having
I don't
success while
see a
doing it.
world. I know it's very, very, very early on. Like Son gets injured, maybe Basuma gets injured. But
how
I
good
don't
is
see
If
a world they don't
Basuma
finish
gets
top
injured,
six.
the whole thing falls apart.
Would you say that you don't see a world they don't get Europa League?
Okay, well, I'll give you another question then, following up.
Yeah.
So, based upon what we've seen already, if they don't get top 6 now, is that disappointing?
No, because like you
Depends
said,
on the circumstances.
Well, I think
Okay, what about Spurs fans?
no, because they're fuckers.
Spurs fans,
Because every
okay.
Spurs fan knows if Maddison or Basuma goes down, this whole thing falls apart. Basuma and Maddison are so pivotal to this team.
No, I agree.
That if one of them goes down, the whole thing collapses.
Let's assume they don't, though.
If they don't, then
I
think
is there any question marks?
no. Because I think Spurs fans are just so brought over
There's
to
a
what
question mark. I don't think he's under the pump in terms of
No.
getting sacked.
But I'm saying is in
he's
is there a
talking
question
about him
mark
being
about,
pressure on the edge, but there's no question mark.
I'm not talking about necessarily major pressure, just as in is there a slight undertone of
Spursy.
Yeah, maybe Spursy. And it's such a good word, mate. This should be in the dictionary.
Would you say it's still alright? Would you say though it's a successful season at this point in time if they finish 6th?
Say again?
Yes.
If they finish 6th, is a successful season?
Yeah, I'd say so.
You go to any
No,
Spurs fan.
right now though.
Yeah, I would say so.
You walk down White Hart Lane, you ask any Spurs.
No, I think so.
They'd say yeah. That's fine.
Assuming the teams that finish above them are like City, Arsenal, Liverpool, like, and then take your pick from like United or Newcastle or Brighton, Villa, Chelsea, right?
I think they'd be disappointed if Brighton or Villa finished above them. I think any of the other ones.
But in their progression, this is supposed to be a revolute, like a changing year, a change of the guard year. So why does Brighton in their European season, especially their better season in like a 3-year cycle that these sort of middle clubs have, why are they not going to be unhappy with being below them?
Yeah, true.
Because in Brighton's cycle, they've done the Potter stuff. Potter's built him up. Potter had a good season. Then De Zerbi took over. De Zerbi had the good season last year. Now this is their top season. This is their season. They're
I just think Poch. It's not Poch. I just think Levy and Tottenham, the whole board there, and including Ange, see Tottenham as a big club. And a big club, you only want other big clubs at this moment in time. No matter how...
If you ask them what this year's supposed to be, it's supposed to be a transitional year.
I think they'd be disappointed if Villa and Brighton finish.
It takes many years to like sort of cement yourself in that big sort of
that's what I'm saying.
echelon, right? So, I definitely agree. But I also think you could look in a couple of years, and if Brighton and Villa come at it, like, bro, Villa are a Champions League winning team. Like...
Yeah, big club.
Like, am I wrong?
They won it.
Villa won the Champions League.
They won a European Cup. Yeah. They won Europe.
They won the European.
But these teams, these Brighton and Villas, are going to have their years in and years out. That's the way the Premier League works now.
Like, more so where I was getting with that is that, like, when Chelsea became a big club, or became like a cemented, like, sort of big, high performer in the league in 2003, 2004 and stuff. It was like, or when City did it in 2008 to like sort of to 2012, it was like, it would have been a bit of a shock to everyone at the time, but give it 5-10 years and you look back and be like, okay, that was sort of the start of the Villa era. So that, they sort of replaced this team.
Yeah,
so like,
right.
So in the short term, it can definitely appear that way. But if Villa or Brighton, these are just the example. But if one of them finishes above Spurs this year, and then kick on and stay that way over the next 4 or 5 years.
Well, you look back. But that.
No, it is. But it's in. My point is that I'm not trying to discredit Villa and Brighton by saying like, I'm saying it's in like these teams are trying to operate like big clubs now.
If they're being honest with themselves last season, Aston Villa and Brighton were in a better position going into the season than Tottenham were.
Yeah, 100%.
And to my idea, what the Premier League is going to become now, and because of the top 10 teams being so dense,
it's nuts, man.
That it's going to be years that this is Villa's European season. Next year, it's someone else's European season.
Well, I mean,
Villa come back in 3 years' time. It's their European.
I think in one more year, it's going to become that. Europe's deeper.
It's become like
anyway.
Brighton's seasons this year. Next year won't be there. So it might be.
Is that
top 5 is Champions League next year.
Yeah, but Europe doesn't change. It's not like it's still 8 teams.
No,
it's 7 at the moment. It'll go to 8.
Yeah, sorry, it's 7 to go to 8.
But we had 8 this year. Like it's always going to be 8 because we always won. English teams won at the last every year for the last 4 years.
One more
Champions League or Conference League.
Yeah, but if you're already in. But that's only if you're in that spot.
I know, yeah, but for the last 3 times, there's been 8 Premier League teams in it. Because West Ham...
Nah, there wasn't a couple of years ago because we weren't in it. And we finished 8th.
When that was 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, but the team that finished 8th last year, Tottenham didn't get it, but West Ham got it finishing.
No, so last year was an example, yeah.
But the point being is like you're going to have years that teams are in and out. So Tottenham are not trying to do that. They're trying to become more than that and skip that step. And I know they've already a big club, but they need to restart. So being a transition year, I don't think you can be upset with finishing below 2 teams that, in my eyes, in their 5-year little mini periods, are hitting their top of their 5-year periods.
I think if people were looking at this like pragmatically, they would agree with you. And if they put the season in like retrospect, like it was like with us when we bottled the top 4 and then us when we bottled the league last year. It was like, okay, how do you told me we'd come second at the start of the year? Massive tick, bro. It's just more about the way, like, the expectations how your expectations change
they grow
based upon where you are.
They grow
and how happy the fans are.
Like, just got
the fans is over the moon. I think just the whole play style was the biggest thing they've seen that. So
I'll give the biggest example.
We'll move from.
Okay,
we'll talk too much about that. We're going forever about that.
Going on for a long time.
We'll skip to a few games. Liverpool 3, West Ham 1. Liverpool again just doing what they do best.
Yeah. Scoring heaps of goals always. It was more Like, retrospect to what you said.
Yeah, I'm just whining and dining in
Yeah.
this prediction. Like, they're
you got this
midfield.
right.
They're midfield, yeah. It's what happens, right? You play 3 creative midfilders versus 3 counter-pressing
If
midfielders.
it's sustainable, and finally when Chelsea win 25 games in a row and they come third, we'll be all right. That's the worst
I
call
think
ever
it is
made.
comeback.
Chelsea being third.
Yeah, what did you guys have, Liverpool? 5th or 4th?
Fourth. I Liverpool
Fifth.
fourth.
Yeah, 5th. Wow.
Wow, fifth. That's horrendous call.
No.
Imagine not having them top 4. Nah.
Jurgen Klopp's got his sort of team back, right? It's energy again.
Yeah.
There's
It's got the vibe
there's
back.
Creation, yeah, there's creation. Salah's now scored or assist like every single game this season. I know it's a penalty, but that's another safety
put it
stat.
away.
It's just the safety.
After
seeing
we had a
Salah
bit of
on
a
this-
weird penalty scare
Yeah.
period as well. So
we wasn't being
put it-
clinical
yeah,
with the
put it
pin,
away.
and he's just blasting the net. Nunes are scoring. They're coming back 3-1 every week. It feels like now. Like it's just like it's set up. And West Ham, tough for them to go away to Liverpool, right? It's not
Yeah, they did get the equaliser, but
good goal from Bowen as well.
yeah.
Are we thinking West Ham are going to fall where they should be at like 12th, 13th?
No, I don't
We're
think that
thinking
deep,
they're
but
gonna go
they'll
that deep, or
definitely
they're
fall
gonna
to
be-
like 9th.
what did I
10th.
predict from like 15th, bro?
I'm very
I
low.
predicted them 10th, so I think that's where they're going to fall.
You can. I'll give you that
Come on,
still.
can we get the caveat here where there's a little asterisk about, they're going to sign players.
They're gonna sign
And
someone
then
new.
sign like the perfect player in Ward-Prowse. Anyway.
But I did mention with my prediction
Yeah,
they
they're gonna
would sign
sign-
players.
yeah,
so
that's
they
what
didn't do it randomly.
I'm saying that's the asterisk. It's
Yeah.
like, they're going to sign
at the
someone.
time, the link was to 0 people.
Because there was like, Fabrizz had nothing, bro. It was like, I think they're going to sign someone.
Maybe I'm better than Fabrizz.
Maybe you get the
Maybe.
bench.
You're the 4.
We'll go another game. Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. Again, another one that we expect. Bournemouth actually went
1-0
to the lead early on.
And then Matoma super sub.
Matoma and Ansu Fati come on in their first 17 seconds. They link up and
Yeah.
score one of the most nicest goals. Like Brighton just
Crazy
scored
how
nice
Ansu
goals.
Fatty's playing for Brighton, eh?
Yeah, that play was
They're a
Dahoud,
big club. They're a big
Dahoud
club.
to Fatty to Matoma. That doesn't sound like it should be playing at Brighton. I should be playing in a European side. But I guess they are now. But
Yeah.
super impressive again. Bournemouth just still haven't won, so 3 draws for them, I think.
16 or 18th. I had them 18th, 18th.
Yeah,
So-
going down.
so-
Item
Come on,
17, I
all
think,
I'm
as
saying
well.
is that one's looking good.
You're on the money
Yeah,
with that one there. And then we'll go, you know what, I think this is a short discovery as well. Like Sheffield and Newcastle, 8 goals. First time in the Premier League history, it's 8 individual goal
Yeah.
scorers.
Yeah.
We were sitting it after the live stream, just casually just sitting and watching it. And it was just from minute 1, you just knew it was going to be a bad game for Sheffield United, but to be everything was going to be an 8-goal game.
Were they on the back foot the
Whole game.
From the start,
first
it
minute,
just was
like
off.
first
That was
minute.
off, yeah.
Making mistakes.
Like, and again, in these small teams, like we said it with Everton, you cannot make mistakes. And from the start, they just didn't look at the races.
First time in Premier League history as well that one individual player has assisted
3 headers.
3 headers.
Oh,
Trippier.
Trippier, yeah.
You had him in FBL. He clutched you
I've
up.
been holding it, and then finally, like,
FPL this week, man.
finally giving me a reward. Like, buying Trippier at that price was
suck.
very, very
It's
risky.
it's expensive player to get in.
I've had oh my god, I'm living off my 4K last year. Jesus Christ.
Vibes in inshallah,
Like-
in Tyson's football club.
If you had Son, I'm looking at you. If you had Heung-min Son this week, you were kissed, man.
Son Madison.
2
duo.
returns at Arsenal away. Oh my god! And
The fact that Madison and Son both linked up for both of them, which
and
is
it's the
like,
fact that they both blanked last week against
I know,
bloody
yeah.
Everton.
And then he
sorry,
traded
against
out.
Sheffield, and they get slapped up 8-0, and then they go away to Arsenal and score 2 goals, and he gets Madison 1 assist.
Madison 2 assists and Son 2
Oh.
goals.
Football heritage.
Which is and again, I traded out Diaby, so I kept
Game's
Diaby
so
in as
dumb,
well, mate. I would have been
Yeah, and
set.
Alvarez and Buemo both blank. Oh.
I've traded him in Bama. I was pretty pissed about that.
Rodri gets sent off the first game. Everyone when I bring
I traded
Alvarez
out
in, so he gets
Matoma,
subbed
eh?
off. Oh.
I traded out Matoma.
That's a big
Wow,
loss.
anyway.
Yeah, so Newcastle, I think they're looking like they're getting back to where they were last year. I know it's you can't really take it with a grain of salt because
They're
Sheffield
putting
was so
teams
bad.
away at the moment. Like when Newcastle are on,
But this
they
year,
put teams away.
Have they put teams away
Newcastle
this year?
Aston
5,
Villa?
Villa
Oh,
1.
Aston Villa.
End of last season, they put Spurs
Well, I'm
5-1.
about to say, at the end of last season, they were putting teams away. I get that bit.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm saying it's like when they're
When-
on,
or when they're-
like,
yeah,
they
yeah,
just,
yeah.
they,
So
they just
scary.
score, man.
Because they just got, like, even when like Gordon
What are
looks
they
good.
on?
And
Have
when
they got
Gordon
4
looks
wins?
good.
Or they 3 wins, 1 draw?
3-1-2. Newcastle, they
3
lost.
wins. The same wins as United, I'm pretty
Liverpool
sure.
and lost to City.
They're the same points as us.
Yeah, 3.
Oh, so they're 3-3.
It's just their goal difference is nuts.
Nah,
They've
they
got,
definitely got a draw.
Yeah, they lost to City, bro.
Yeah, and City and Liverpool. That's it. We've got 3 losses.
They lost to City.
And Liverpool.
yeah, same points as us. 3-3.
Who did they lose to as well? Brighton.
Oh, I thought you meant draw. I think
They lose to Brighton.
Yes, Brighton battered them up 3-1.
So that's the Brighton, City, and Liverpool.
Brighton are third, by the way. Brighton are killing it.
No, but he says they're a small club. So
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
no, they are a small. I'm taking the business.
yeah.
Was there any swear words in the live stream?
No, I think we're pretty
How was Jared?
I can't remember Jared and his mysterious comment.
What did he say?
What did he say?
I don't think it's suitable.
Oh, okay, we'll talk about it later. That brings us to the final one, the biggest talking point, I guess. Another big talking point from the weekend, which will sort of not as big because we sort of know what's going on here. Yeah. Chelsea 0, Villa 1.
Yeah.
A game again where Chelsea had chances. I think same sort of shot, 10 to 12 sort of shots, but they just don't score. They just
Nicholas Jackson got suspended.
Yeah.
5 yellow cards in 6 games
already.
He's out.
Nuts.
Do you know that? Or
They're persisting with
and he
Mudryk.
does it again, which he will do. Obviously, it's 2 weeks out the next time.
They're persisting with Mudryk. They're trying things.
Zero goals
full-time.
in 22 games.
Do you think that's a Poch move or pushing a little bit more from the club?
What, Mudryk?
Yeah.
Rodri?
I can.
He trains really well. I heard he trains really well.
It's good for the dressing room. Like we're talking about good for the dressing room. Nah, he obviously Poch wouldn't just keep playing him. Poch is a powerful manager to say no or yes. So he obviously sees something in him.
And you don't go like when you're like Poch and like even with Ange Spurs, like you don't go to these clubs if you're going to be the
puppet,
the
puppet master.
Like so, Conte was left Tottenham because he didn't feel like the club was treating him with what he wanted.
Yeah, it's like,
so,
these guys, like they don't get bullied around. So
yeah,
I'm sure Mudryk actually shows a fair bit, off. Especially, not when he's on the ground, but must be a great lad.
Good for the dressing room. Good for the dressing room. Like, great Henderson merchant.
Great lad.
Yeah, but again, like Chelsea are getting themselves into a really, really difficult position.
You think it's getting pressure is building?
I do definitely think the pressure. Like I wouldn't say he's under the pump or anything, but like
so
again,
what are
Chelsea?
Chelsea's one win?
2.
Chelsea won against Luton and they've won against
2 wins. 2 wins for
they drew against Bournemouth. They've
5.
won 1 game, 1 win, 2 draws, and 3 losses, and sitting 1 point ahead of Everton, who we thought we were in a crisis last week.
This
is what I'm going at. Again, obviously Poch isn't under the pump.
Just
but let's say they win from their next 4, 1 game, 1 draw.
Let me look at their next.
Are we hyping up their Raptors too much?
No, but 1 win, 1 draw. So let's say they're on
Fulham away. You've got to get a point there. I think you get a point at Fulham away. Burnley away. Burnley are getting better and better by the week. So.
I think if they're not on...
And then they've got Arsenal at home and Brentford at home. They could go winless the next 4 games.
I wouldn't.
Fulham away is their best chance for points.
If they're under 10 points at match week 10, he's well under the pump.
Yeah,
oh my God, they've got Arsenal, Brentford, and Spurs away, then City at home.
How could you get rid of Potter the way you did last year?
Well, no, I'm also in like...
That's what I look at.
Like, my God. Wait, sorry.
They have a really tough run.
Fulham away,
I traded
Burnley away, Arsenal at home, Brentford at home, Spurs away, City at home, Newcastle away, Brighton at home, United away.
Oh my God.
So that's match week 15. They could be on under 15 points at match week 15. Under 15.
Okay, now you've changed my mind. And
that's why everyone traded in like Jackson, because he's such a great run.
What points do you think? I'm not saying he's in the sack, but he'll be under the pump if he's under 10 points at match week 10.
I think this could be a year where I think Arsenal could be a bit of a model now, where it's like, you just got to stink it out.
Because it's Poch, right? You can't. It's just
but this is
like Potter's one thing.
But if you get rid of like
Pochettino, like
they could have a worse season than they did last year.
They got rid of Tuchel, and they got rid of Potter, and they got rid of Lampard. Now they
get rid of...
That just has to be more reflective of the club being a basket case. Rather than the managers, because
actually we say this, but if Cook comes back and things might just click again.
Yeah, but can I say
play
something?
back 4 again.
Again, I agree. If this is a thing of we'll let it slide a little bit this year that we finish on 8th from 55, 60 points. But the way they're going way worse than finishing 8th.
Well, with the competitiveness, it could be 10th. It could be like a 10th or 9th.
I reckon at this stage it could be again another 12.
You know what? You're probably not. They're sitting 15th now, so yeah, they're probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Chelsea will click eventually, but I don't know if Potter will.
I think it just seems so harsh. And maybe I'm just a Poch like everyone else in the UK. They just love Poch.
Yeah.
I just feel like you just can't sack a guy that was coaching Mbappe. Messi.
And they've also made it
why?
They also
Tuchel
because he's got the same thing. I know, but he's just got
there.
And Tuchel won the Champions League.
I know, but
their scores on the pitch are not reflective of the chances they're creating. Like they shouldn't. The fact they haven't. I think they haven't scored a goal in over 180 minutes.
It would have been.
They didn't
played
score
last 3 games. Haven't scored.
They didn't score against Bournemouth. It was 0-0.
Yeah, and they didn't. So
Yeah,
they scored the week before that?
early enough after the Luton game.
Like, yeah, they hit the post 0-0. Yeah, so, and they didn't score on the weekend. So that's a minimum 180. It's like 200 minutes. It's like,
Yeah, they haven't scored in Luton.
and that was 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, so they've lost to Forest, they drew to Bournemouth, and they lost to Villa.
Oh, they didn't score.
So
They
270.
didn't score against Forest.
UK lost 1-0 to Forest.
When did they score against Luton? Check this. I want to get total
The
minutes.
date
No,
or the minute?
No, minute.
The last goal
64.
was scored in the 75th minute
Oh.
by Nicholas Jackson.
So they haven't
my
sc-
goat.
Added on extra time, they haven't scored in 300 minutes.
Jesus. Because the problem is though, they're not really shipping goals. They're losing games 1-0.
Yeah, they lost 1-0. They drew to Bournemouth.
They've got
they
Thiago
lost
Silva,
1-0 to
for me, is
Forest.
still one of the better centre backs. And if you score a goal, everything changes.
That goal, though.
yeah.
What do you mean that goal?
The goal that against Villa, he was.
No, the goals isn't the keeper's fault. Sanchez gets made.
No, look where Thiago Silva was. He was on like in their own half, and like he got like completely burned with pace.
Well, Colwell was going with him in the end.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about Thiago. No, I'm not saying that was bad because obviously Thiago Silva shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like it was a counter attack, and he shouldn't be defending in his own half, and like right
I
up.
get what you mean.
Yeah, but like
But I think
you could
defense is
tell when
not
it came to age, like he just got
yeah.
completely.
But I
burnt.
still reckon Thiago's one of the strongest centre backs. I think defense is not the. And you see how good their defenders are. Like Batashile's not even playing, and he's probably one of their better centre backs. It's just the connection. Like it's like Tottenham. The connection in the midfield and the forwards just doesn't happen. Like there's chances from midfielders. There's not chances from midfield creating into the forwards, right? Like there's every game I feel like there's an Enzo shot that goes over the bar or hits the post. So it's never Enzo sliding through Sterling to cut across to someone. You know what I mean? Like it's that sort of It was similar to Spurs last year.
To be fair, Jackson's missed sitters, bro. Like,
And it was offside, but that was a decent chance again on the weekend.
Jackson has
scored.
missed sitters.
Yeah,
man.
you're not wrong.
He's missed 7 key chances this year.
You love XG. Do you know what his XG is now?
Yeah, it's like 4.5. He scored 1 goal. Do you know,
That's
and like
not good. That's not
and
good
like
for,
at
your,
the
for your
pr-
number 9. Like
at the Prem, like most top team strikers outperform their XG.
Like number
like
10's
Kane
outperforming
outperforms it all the time.
every
Saka
number 10, number
yeah,
9 outperform the XG. Isn't that like
The only guy I didn't was like Darwin,
Yeah,
and he scored a cracker on the weekend. And it's like, no.
it's
Trust
just
me. I know Nicholas Jackson's underperformance.
I get where you come from with Poy. I get it where like the pressure should be on, but I just feel like maybe it's just my mind the way I'm built to see Poch.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's just like you sack Potter, I get it.
It's just
Potter's
that
a bit of an
Argentinian
unknown.
like thing, eh? It's
Just a bit of the aura of
didn't know you were
Argentina.
South Americans.
So how long do you reckon you get him to?
I think he's a whole year.
You reckon whole year?
I
I've
think.
got all year as well, but
You can't say that if he's on 20 points at match week 20.
Okay. Well,
that's relegation stuff.
no, look.
I should say that Luton got like
If
4 points. So.
if Chelsea by Christmas are 10th,
He's
he'll
fine.
he'll get the whole year. If Chelsea by Christmas
He's 15.
15 still.
are 15th and have how many points?
Is that 20?
So match week 19, so they're on
Yeah,
20
20
points.
Yeah.
He got to
And let's say, when's Nkunku back?
Well, I don't know. It's the thing is, you have to be safe.
Let's say their
It's the same
team is
meaning.
basically fully fit, right?
everyone's
James
back, yeah.
is playing and Nkunku's back,
Hallelujah.
and they're showing nothing. Then Poch is in serious trouble.
Yeah, I guess that is.
I don't
the other
think he's
thing as
got
well,
the year
injury.
because I really think they're going to struggle like last year to find.
The problem with
No.
Tuchel and
Poch is fine, man. They should have won 3 of the. They should have
beat Bournemouth.
They
They
should have
slapped
scored
Bournemouth
10
up.
more goals.
They
and
slapped Bournemouth.
Chelsea are fine. Poch is fine. They have a striker who can't put the ball in the net. They're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Well said. That's finished now. That's firmly said. I like that. Let's go winners and losers quickly to wrap the episode up.
Because of the brown line anyway.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start again?
You start.
start.
Set the time.
Yeah.
I never
Winner.
know.
I now that I've written it down, and I wish I hadn't, but I got Ange. Like it's
Winner,
an
fair
obvious one, but we talked so much about him today.
It's a massive win.
He's proven it. I know it feels like it's a win almost for Tottenham the way he's gone there and done it. He's set the tone. His team played the way he wanted to play.
Yeah.
We've seen it on the biggest stage. They've done it at the Emirates, NLD, like all this stuff builds up. The
Is
pressure.
your winner
around it.
related to your loser?
No.
Okay, well, because I'm probably going to say my loser then.
Okay.
I'm just going to say Arsenal. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
in a league, in a season where we're trying to win the league and so much high expectation coming off a big 4-0. I know things sort of went against us with injuries, blah, 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 but I don't know. At home in the North London derby, I could say Chelsea, but I'm gonna say Arsenal because I praise them a lot when they're playing well and I think we got bullied in the midfield and we didn't show a whole heap. So outplayed at home to Spurs after such a, over having been so poor over the last few years, Spurs, I think is a pretty big loss, and drop points again in a round where City get a red card and don't score, don't concede. It's I'm gonna say a loss.
Yeah.
Winner Vicario.
Yeah,
I think there's been a lot of slate on him. I think more from not knowing what he was about, but you just look at some of the saves.
He was good.
Yeah, some of the his ball handling. In the preseason, I think it was just very, very
especially
wary.
in Perth.
Yeah, here in Perth. Yeah. So, I think we were quick to judge him, but he's been excellent all season. I don't think there's been a mistake he's actually made.
I think other than for the Brentford game, he looked a bit he didn't make a mistake. He just looked a bit dodgy.
Yeah, dodgy,
but he still made a mistake. Yeah, so he's been good.
I don't know.
Go your loser.
You got your loser.
Yeah, go my loser,
and then we'll come back around.
Yeah, so my loser would be Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big issue because he's getting into the right positions.
Yeah, but why are you talking more about the suspension or
just the way
it's him?
Just
everything?
him.
It's
just
Nicholas
Jackson.
Jackson.
I hate him as a bloke.
It's like we gave you the loser.
Yeah, it was just going away. Yeah.
Just everything.
Just the aura.
The aura
of it.
Obviously, again, he's still we continually say on this show, he's looking good. He's going to score goals.
Darwin.
Yeah, but even Darwin, I don't think was this bad.
No, Darwin was bad.
I think Darwin was even worse.
Darwin was really bad.
Because of the money as well.
Darwin was
getting chances and chances.
Darwin was negative
Yeah,
four.
but they tend to overperform their XG so hard. I think it's more so key chances. Bro, Jackson's missed 7. Darwin missed 25 over the course of the last season. And he got dropped for a long time.
The thing that made Darwin stats so good, which he made really, really well in the Champions League. He played really good there. But the Premier League stuff, he just was
again, but I still think that Jackson is a loser because he's continually getting in the right places, and he's got to put some of them away. Obviously he was bought because Chelsea saw something. He's got the ability. He's a Premier League striker to put that in the back of the net. Danny Welbeck could really put some of those in the back of the net.
Keep the Welbeck slander down. Jesus,
the GOAT.
What's that comparison? Would, mate.
The greatest sport striker of all time.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
My winner, Everton and Dyche.
Like that.
Short and sweet, as you said. They were in crisis watch last week, suicide watch, and
it was though. It felt like it. It was like
Everton fans getting welfare checks. And this week, they turned it all around against a good Thomas Frank team. So Everton winner.
Yeah, I want to say Chelsea, but I'll do it different because I'm very boring. So I'm going to say Burnley, just because they played such good football. Yep. They're playing some good football. I think they're looking better than they were the last few weeks.
Burnley's season so far, almost.
And to not get even a result, that would have been so big for them. Because I think right now the trajectory is here. They're moving up. It's just that you can't keep going up until you get a result, right? You need that big result. So
that's for
them to kick on, and then you get a result in the next few weeks because they're playing really, really good football. The team's gelling together. Vincent's finding his growth.
So everything we thought about Burnley, rather,
it's true.
At the start of the season, about the company's going to play his way. That's all coming because I haven't watched a lot of Burnley, but
they're doing it.
You seem to watch a fair bit, and they're playing. Our expectations were correct.
Yeah, I think I just overhyped the championship.
I said 12th.
Yeah, I think I think it's very similar. What? I think I overhyped the transition. I thought the transition would be made easier, but the amount of signings they've made, it's only just starting to the players starting to get in position and fix it out.
Companies still figuring out his best 11, stuff like that.
I think more just fixing out how these players play the roles that players last year played.
I think as well they're just lacking at the moment an end product a lot. Even in that 20th minute against United, he hits the post very, very easily. Could have gone in the back of the net. And I think if that goes in the back of the net, they win 1-0.
Probably do. Yeah. Yeah, I think that you know what? Again, another matter of fact statement to finish it off, and I like that. Yeah. That wraps up this week, guys. Match week 6 done, dusted. Match week 7. Another interesting, a few interesting games.
Yeah.
Where we'll be doing Aston Villa, Brighton.
Brighton.
On early on Saturday. So that'll be interesting.
We're going to watch along for that.
We'll watch along for that because
Aston Villa, Brighton.
And then obviously the big game of the weekend is Tottenham, Liverpool, but I haven't quite organised if we can do that later on Sunday morning, I think it is. So I'll work out if we can get that done, but we're definitely doing Brighton, Aston Villa. That'll be a good game.
If we can for that.
Two teams on the up as well. And then big stuff for the week after, which I'll tell you off air, with a big stream coming for the week after that. So a lot of live things coming. And we're big excited about that, guys. Thank you for the support. Hope we get even more views on the predictions
because he's getting them all in here. So why am I even here?
We'll get some prediction views back up again on Thursday. Other than that, then we'll see you guys for a live stream or predictions video very soon. See you later.